the Rocky story, but they won't let you be Rocky.
I've watched that movie.
Yeah. You'd always, and not to say that you're a big guy, like they'd always be like, oh, he's the big actor that wants to play buff roles. Yeah, they put you in bodysuits and shit. That'd be great.
Your first major role is in a horror movie where you're the first one to die?
Yeah. All I say is, this is crazy.
You'd be like, this is whack. I'm out.
They just like, we should split up. And I'm like, oh, I guess I'm about to die right now. They should call a horror movie that We Should Split Up. Like, that's the title of the movie, We Should Split Up.
What would you do if it was like a remake to Roots, and they took you back onto the plantations?
Oh my God.
I'm just trying to think of things that would like maybe be your first breakout role. Like you're gonna be like slave number 7 or something like that.
I don't even.
Would you take a role for a Tampax commercial?
For a Tampax? What?
Like you're the boyfriend that has to
you're the
like,
boyfriend that needs to shop for his girl, and like you're out at the store and you're like, man, I don't know what I should do. Maybe I should pick up a box for my girl.
Yeah, I could do that. Like the Tampax pearls, I could do that.
Yeah.
So you would do.
Listen, girl, I got you some pearls. And she's like, really? Nah, Tampax, bitch.
So
I think you would make it into a wig, like an old-fashioned like white powder wig, and you would make like the braids come up.
So you'll go as far as tampon or Tampax commercials, but you won't dress up like a woman.
Yeah, because there's like if I'm just a normal guy in a Tampax commercial getting the tampons for the girl, then yeah, that's a totally different thing. But I'm not going to dress up like a woman for like movie's sake. That's not something that I would do.
Just asking.
A lot of big name actors dressed up like women, though.
Yeah.
John Travolta.
John Travolta in Hairspray.
Yeah.
All
right, that's the only one I can think of.
Martin Lawrence. For
Martin Lawrence.
House.
Yeah.
Well,
Tyler Perry, yeah.
Jim Carrey.
Tim Curry. Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Mrs. Doubtfire. Robin Williams. Yeah,
that's true. All right, let's get into our meat and potatoes here. Let's get into our main topics.
We went a little left there.
Yeah, we went
Sorry
way,
about that, Will.
way left.
Sorry, Will.
All right, so we had talked about things to talk about this week, and with horror movies on the rise, you had It 2 out recently, and you were talking about the top 5 horror movies, not necessarily of our time, but what are your 5 top horror movies of all time? Not just recently. We'll actually start with you. We'll start with you, Tom.
Always the best horror movie for all of horror, October, Halloween. Jason Takes Manhattan. Is that part 7?
Part 8.
Part 8.
Part 8.
8.
8 is 8.
8 Manhattan.
8's Manhattan. Jason Takes Manhattan is probably my all-time favorite.
Really?
I love it. I don't know why. Like of all
That's
of them,
a horrible movie.
Of all of them, I don't know why. I just love the fact. Like I guess I was always stuck on the fact that it came from Crystal Lake and he finally went on a boat. Like it was one of the first times where he was actually away from the campsite. Like he killed everybody on that boat. You know, like all this. I remember when he picked up the rock in the sauna room and killed somebody with the sauna rock. I remember seeing that, smashing or putting on their face. So I just remember.
I'm trying to
as a
think
kid.
back to that movie, and I know it was a horrible movie because I think I like snored through it.
He gets stabbed in the eye, the quilt, the quilt pen or whatever.
Yeah. It's like watching the Leprechaun movies.
Yeah. But they were pretty good too, though, for a time. The first one, first 2.
Yeah, not bad.
And then, right, it's a toss-up because as much as I love Jason Takes Manhattan,
sure,
I love all the Final Destinations, except for maybe the 5th one. Like, still to this day, if I'm driving on the highway and I see all that stuff, like
log trucks and shit.
Oh my god! Like, let me get away from this thing.
Oh my god, dude! I have that fear.
Yeah,
I have that fear also. Like, I'll be driving to work and I'll see the log trucks there, and I'm like, Man, should I really go by the side of it? Because I know that metal's going to snap and all those logs are going to fall right onto my car.
You know, so I have to say, probably 2 would be that. Number 3, right, of all of them, I'd have to say is, Michael Myers has probably got to be up there.
Okay.
You know, except for
all the series in general.
There's one.
Okay.
Is it Halloween 3 where Michael Myers isn't the killer?
The third one, yes. It's through the TV. Through the TV sets, they send the signal through.
Right.
Michael Myers is not in that one.
So that, you know what I mean? Because I always like the Doctor. The Doctor was always cool.
Dr. Loomis.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
First series altogether, I guess number 4 you'd have to go with Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nightmare on Elm Street is awesome.
You know, which could go up. It could be 3 probably with Michael Myers going down. But I like how they did the Wes Craven with the, you know, like it was his story, and then they brought it into real life, and then Freddy was coming into real life. You know, like they twisted worlds for a little bit, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
And then I mean, except for maybe the last 4 or 5, maybe the first 2 or 3, Child's Play was awesome.
Yeah.
I gotta say, growing up, I remember Child's Play. I remember seeing that all the time. So
so not necessarily Bride of Chucky or like.
Got cartoonish.
Yeah, it got kind of stupid.
You know what I mean?
It jumped the shark a little bit.
The reboot was even cool because it was a modern adaptation of the story itself.
Yeah.
You know?
Sparky, how about you?
For me, believe it or not, the modern day horror movies I get into, but it's not the same as the classic horror movies. I like a lot of the classic horror movies. I like The Blob, and I like the original Fly with Vincent Price, and yes. And then, like, the old Boris Karloff movies when he was either Frankenstein or Dracula, those were always... I'm very much into the black and whites and the early colored horror movies.
Psycho Cop. You remember Psycho Cop?
I remember Psycho Cop.
Cop was a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. The original Psycho was black and white with Anthony Perkins.
Yes, it was.
And it took them, 22 years to put the sequel out for Psycho 2. It was like 22 years or so later.
I was usually into like the really bad horror movies, like the really bad B-rated horror movies. Mm-hmm. But like I loved they were called Ghoulies.
Oh, the Ghoulies! I remember the Ghoulies.
You remember those?
Yes.
And Critters.
Yes.
Critters was a great series. Tremors was another one. Yeah. There's this really bad movie. It was called Killer Clowns from Outer Space, which is one of my favorite movies. I still watch it to this day whenever it comes on TV. Like, I love that movie because it's so cheesy. Like, you have these big, huge, like, monstrous clowns, and they shoot people with cotton candy guns.
Yeah, and
they would eat the bodies inside the cotton candy.
Speaking of which, I don't know. Remember the TV show Banana Splits?
Yes.
Well, the USA Network this Saturday is actually doing a horror version of the Banana Splits. So you know what kind of classics they made on that thing? You know, Sharknado and Zombie Tidal Wave, and you know, all the real classics that makes somebody want to stab themselves in the throat with a pencil. Some of them.
Well, how about you? How do you feel about horror movies?
I have my favorites. I'm going to say, like, my top favorite has to be Child's Play, the original. After that, I'm going to say, like, the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. What else?
I was a big fan of Hellraiser, too.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space, you already said that. What's that one movie? The movie with the comet, and it turns like everyone to
Night of the Comet.
Night of the Comet. I like that movie. It's such a bad movie. It's such a bad, horrendous movie because the plot is really stupid. But it's one of those movies where like, you watch it and you have to keep watching because it's so shitty.
You know what movies are awesomely horrible, but they were so bad as all the Ernest movies.
Oh, I love the Ernest.
Yes.
Yo, did you see how what's his name? John Cena now. It's like turned himself into Ernest P. Worrell.
Yeah,
I did see that.
Right? Like,
He's got like the sagging face and the weird jowls, and like he really let himself go.
You know what is weird though? Growing up is I always remember the Twilight Zone being eerie. The Twilight Zones had an eerie feel.
The movie or the show?
The show. The show, like the weekly episodes.
That's where William Shatner got his big break, when he saw the guy out on the airplane wing.
Yeah.
That's true.
Burgess Meredith, too. Mickey from Rocky.
Yeah.
And the penguin.
Oh, yeah.
You know who else was weird? And I remember growing up that had that eerie was that guy from Unsolved Mysteries.
Robert Stack?
Yeah, that guy had that voice. That was more... I think that was creepier than any horror movie growing up, honestly.
Did you ever watch the movie Phantasm?
No.
It was about this magician who had a killer ball.
No.
He was transformed.
He was an interdimensional demon, and he posed himself as a funeral home director.
That's what it was.
He was known as the Tall Man.
The Tall Man, yeah.
And,
and
his ball would like levitate in the air.
He had three silver balls that had different weapons on them.
Tales from the Crypt.
Ooh, old Tales from the Crypt, yeah.
You know what else I remember, Will? You probably remember this too. Is they're coming back with it? Is Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yeah,
it was alright for a kid show.
Yeah,
for a kid show it was different. You know what I mean? They never that kind of blurred the line there for a little bit because I remember watching Snick.
Yeah, you did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like every kid, like especially our age.
Yeah. They don't have it like that anymore. Like, things like that are missing. Even, like, cartoons, morning cartoons, so stuff like that's not on. Mm-hmm. What is even on Sunday mornings? You don't even know anymore.
Yeah, Saturdays and Sundays are so boring now.
You know?
Like, for mainstream television, you have to really watch, like, Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network or, like, something like that in order to find an original cartoon now.
Disney's bought everything.
Disney bought everything.
Disney owns almost everything.
Yeah. Not to say it's unfortunate, but they really have.
You know, because they own Fox. Fox owns all this other stuff underneath it, you know? So, I mean, really, what isn't there?
That's true.
You know what I mean? Crazy. Maybe one day we'll have that Disney money, Will. Maybe. As you wear a Mickey Mouse hat at this table. Get that hat off this table. No, but, you know, when it comes down to it, though, all that other stuff. Because I guess the reason we started talking about, you know, the list for the horror movies and stuff is you look at the movies that are coming out in 2020, there's so many different ones coming out that are almost like it's like catching magic in a bottle again.
Yeah.
You know, you got Ghostbusters coming out in 2020. You're going to have a retelling of the Batman's coming out in 2020, I think. Bad Boys will be coming out with another one. Eddie Murphy will be coming out with Stand Up in 2020. Mm-hmm. You know, it's going to be an exciting time when it comes to entertainment, but we'll see how long that can last for, you know?
Not long. Hollywood's running out of ideas. That's what the problem is. They're just reaching into a bag of tricks and like, oh, let's see what we can do. Oh, let's redo this movie.
Yeah, but not to say that they've even run out of ideas. Like, Disney has really monopolied the market for the superhero genre for roughly 5 to 6 years now. Like, there are no movies that are even in comparison to non-superhero movies that have made $1 billion in the past 6 to 7 years.
No.
True.
Nothing.
Didn't Joker surpass, like, a lot of movies?
Well, it just had the highest October opener.
$13.5 million.
$13.5 million for any movie opening in October. Even with the superhero genre, like, that includes every genre that's ever come out. That includes horror, which should be the hugest thing for October. Like, you would think that they would come out with more Halloween movies. But no, like, nothing even comes close.
Zombieland's coming out.
Zombieland is coming out.
Double Tap is coming out, the 18th. But that's it, though. When you think about it
I think it's actually going to surpass the Joker once it comes out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. People have been waiting for that movie forever.
I love the first movie.
But how did they figure out the numbers? Like, how... So, Titanic was the all-time most-selling movie ever until...
No.
It was. Until Avatar.
Until Avatar. And
right?
What it is they take all the revenue sales from